So this evening sees us battling with our friends from Rochdale District CC and from the Isle of Man Photographic Society. And this battle has been taking place, over 12 years. Over 12 years, and it is much looked forward to with great anticipation and excitement by everyone concerned. With all that excitement and anticipation rife within the room and on the Zoom, I shall welcome our judge for this evening. So it is my pleasure to welcome Jane Lines. I've got LOPS, CPAGB, DPAGB, MPAGB, BP5. I'm sorry if I've missed anything out. And Jane is a member of the hugely successful Chorley Photographic Society and is also very involved in both the PAGB and the LNCPU executive committees. So I ask you all here if you could all join me in welcoming Jane this evening.
Here we go. Right. Switch to my microphone voice now. Okay, Jane, are you all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, let's hit the button and see what happens. Playing with fire.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one tonight because there's lots of really good images. So I'm going to have to get a bit nitpicky, I think, to try and spread the marks for you. So starting off with this one, we're off to a good start, aren't we, with this? I think it's quite an interesting subject. You've photographed it just at the right time of night, so we've got that lovely blue background that goes really well with the sort of golden browns of the sparks of the fire. And I like that you've got the guy in the middle as well. Just the tiniest little nitpick, just going to hold it off being held on to is you, and it's so difficult, isn't it? I appreciate how difficult it is because it is very, very bright at the center there, and it's just that I think maybe if you just managed to burn slightly in that level at the bottom. But I appreciate you've got a bit of light on that texture of the sort of sand. Presume you've done it on the beach. And I think it makes an interesting image, and that's what we're looking for, isn't it? A little bit of interest. So that's going to kick us off with a 17, above average 17. Just not held
17.
back. Yeah,
All eyes open.
because we've got a lot of good ones. Yeah, I like the little grouping of these. I like that they're peeping out of the wood. I get the feeling that maybe it just needs a little bit of a push with the colours. They seem a little bit over pink to me, but you know, I'm looking at the native image and not the one that you're rendering through Zoom. I think in tonight's competition amongst the rest of the packet's going to be a good club 16 marks.
Okay. 16.
Yeah.
Golden tree.
Yeah, I like this one. It's got a little bit of something about it, and I think it is those wonderful golds in the tree. I like the reflection that you've captured. I'm just a little bit confused about whether you've tried to give me too much. We just get a hint of the outsides, and I think really you were you know, homing us in on this tree. So I'm wondering whether a tighter crop would have been more suitable for it. I think as well, you just needed to burn in this trunk that's running through the tree just slightly, because it is just spoiling the sort of whole symmetry and feeling of the image. So I think again it's a really good attempt. It could have just made it into my final selection if it had just been a little bit cleaner. So this one's also going to be 16 marks.
16. Red-eyed tree frog.
Yeah, we've got our lovely... Ooh. Doesn't want to come up for me, but anyway, carry on. Right, yeah, you've managed to capture some good texture in the frog itself. It's on a suitable perch. It has a suitable background with a slight variation in it, which always helps a little bit. It's good and sharp on the head. It's just starting to go off slightly on the leg. In tonight's competition, ooh, it's going to be 17 marks.
17.
Yeah.
Holding on.
Yeah, I think you've caught good action here. I like that you've got down really low to it. That makes it nice and dynamic. I think it's good choice, I think, monochrome, because I can imagine that the outfit and the bike were all sorts of really bright, vibrant colours. So that sort of helps condense it down a little bit. You've just given us a hint of something that's going on in the background. Lots of mud sort of kicked up, but I'm feeling it's just a little bit tight in the frame. It's good that you can see the face and the eyes because that gives it all a bit of character. And I think it just needs a little bit more contrast to it as well. So in tonight's competition, it's just going to miss out being held back. It's going to be a 17.
17.
Yeah.
Art appreciation.
Yeah, I thought this was well seen, and you've captured it quite well. I like the interaction between the lady on the seat and the little girl. I think that's a lovely little cameo. I like the background people just sort of mooching around looking at the art. I have a feeling that the lady on the left sort of steals the limelight a little bit, and I'm feeling that this cameo was the sort of the bit that has more interest, with the lady yawning, making me want to yawn looking at it. All that suggestive yawning. I think that maybe to make them stand out a little bit, it maybe needed a little bit more work. It's maybe that the red background is very vibrant, so it sort of draws you away from the main characters. So I think in tonight's competition, that one's going to be 15 marks. It's just a little bit overcomplicated.
15. Family portrait, Gilada baboons.
Yeah, I think these have been well captured. I like all the texture that you've captured in the fur. I like the engagement from the little one with eye contact. I like the just hint of background that you've got. You've just about kept the adult's tail in, but the baby's is just going off the screen. Tonight's competition. Yeah, go on. We'll keep it in for a look around.
We'll hold that one.
Yeah.
Little Red.
Yeah, it's a super little red squirrel specimen eating something there. There's one or two problems that have let it down though. The coloration of the squirrel looks good. It's just not sharp enough around, you know, the eye and the head where you'd want it to be. Your background is quite messy because obviously it's quite close to the background, so that's caused us a little bit of problem there. And it's a shame that you cut its tail off as well and truly sort of cropped down, and I think we need the tail in. I think even if it's going behind this wood, you need to imagine that it's there to give it a bit of space. So unfortunately this one hasn't worked for me this evening. Maybe have a look at some of the other shots that you got on the day. So that one's going to be 14 tonight.
14.
Yeah.
White Helmet's Fire Jump.
Yeah, I think this is a very exciting picture with all the flames. I quite like that you've kept in a hint of the crowd so we can see that it's at an event. The only shame with this one, and obviously he's trying to look where he's going, is that his head's right down. He's maybe even trying to protect his face a bit from those flames. So we just sort of lose the character of the shot, which is a little bit of a shame. But it looks like it was a very exciting event to see. It's been well exposed as well. You've not lost any of the detail in those flames. So in tonight's competition, it's going to be 16 marks.
16.
Yeah.
Shaggy Scaly Cap.
Yeah, I think they look generally quite good specimens. The one just second from the right just has a little bit of a damage to it. I like the crop that you've done. I like your composition. That works well with these two groupings. I like the moss and the bark in the background. I'm just feeling that your processing hasn't enhanced the image. I think it's actually distracted or detracted from it. And I think you've used some sort of mid-tone contrast or tonal contrast in it. And it's just slightly made it look unnatural. So I think it's just too heavily processed for me, that one. And that one's going to be 15 marks.
15. Samantha's violin.
Yeah, you've got good eye engagement. I think that works really well. You feel like you're involved with the picture because there's such good eye contact. I like the little hint of the chap in the background. It's quite sort of voyeuristic, but it's sort of adding to the story. You haven't got her front hand in, which may have caused you a problem with depth of field, but I don't think that matters. I think your crop is good. And obviously you've got the diagonal then of the bow to the violin. It's very lit on her face, which actually works as well because it's drawing you right. You're drawing me into what you want me to see of the picture. The rest is just sort of supporting the story. So lovely diffused background as well. So we'll have a look at that again. It's got a nice colour harmony to it as well.
Hold that one. Last minute light bulb moment.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting image. I like the way that you've captured the light in the light bulb. I like the way that you've cropped it in very tight. I like the way we've got this blue background that also is shown through obviously the light bulb. Against the other shots this evening, the previous shot gave me a lot of feeling, and that goes a long way to engaging the judge and the audience and getting the higher marks. But I think there is good photography here. It's been well captured. So this one will be the sort of good club average of 16 marks.
16. Portrait of a girl in red.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few portraits of this young lady, but as it stands, it's a very good portrait. I like the colour pop of her clothing. I like the engagement that you've got. You've not really given me a lot of background, but it just has that sort of hint of an old master and the sort of painted garden or estate scenes that you would get in those. I like the texture that you've used. I like the lighting on the face, again drawing you right in, and I like the sort of highlight on the earring. The eyes are very engaging. I think that the 3/4 position that you've got her in works really well. You haven't inhibited the rear eye at all, and that works really well. So I think it's a very successful portrait. So we'll have another look at that one.
Yeah. Well, hold that one. Look up.
Yeah. I like the drama of this with your long exposure and the sky. I think that works well. I'm not always a fan of monochrome digital, but I think you've reproduced this really well. You've got a really great range of tones there, from really blacks to a good sort of white in the reflective part of the image. I was just left wondering whether it needed more. But while I ponder that, we'll hold it back.
Okay. Hold that one.
Technically, it's very good.
Puffin in flight.
Yeah, I like the background. So this lovely warm colour with just a hint of bits and pieces in it. I like the position that you've got the bird in flight. I'm not too bothered that there's movement in the wings. It's obviously been a very harsh day, and it's a very difficult one to photograph black and whites in that sort of harsh light, but you've managed to control it fairly well. I think in the context of the nature that you've presented tonight, it's not going to get held back. It's going to be sort of on the level. So it's going to be 16 marks for that one. Not quite as sharp on the head as quite I would like it.
16. Dubrovnik Street.
Yep, you've captured a nice bit of light coming through, the lovely warm colours of the stonework there. I like the little bit of hint of sky and washing up there. The bikes sort of add to the story a little bit. There's a tiny little figure you probably can't see if you're on Zoom or in the room quite far back, but there's a tiny little figure in the background, and I like the sort of natural framing of it. That said, I think the photography is good. The exposure is good. I like the light that's fallen onto the stone steps there. I think that works well. But I think against others in the competition, it just doesn't have the content that's going to give me the sort of feelings to want to look at it more. So that one's going to be a 16.
16.
Yeah.
Under the pole.
Yeah, you captured a good moment here. I like that you've managed to keep the paddle, all the paddle in. She's showing a little bit of jeopardy. I'm just not so sure on such a tight crop on it. So that's sort of a little bit of a concern for me. I think I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more context of it. And also there's some specular highlights that are sort of bothering me, especially this really big one at the top here, top left, and a bit on the boat as well. So I think just a little bit of work needed on that, and was it the right crop? So in tonight's competition, I'm just finding it too tight. So 16 marks, sorry.
16.
Yeah.
Fig bowl.
It is indeed a bowl of figs. Yeah, I think you've rendered this well. I think you've lit it well. I like the sort of background. It almost has a sort of smoky effect. And I think it has some interest to it. I like that you've cut the one in half. I think if it had just been the bowl of figs, it would have been a little bit boring. But as you've presented it, I think as a still life goes, it's simplistic, and it's been well photographed. So we'll hold that back for another look.
Okay, hold that one.
Whilst I ponder.
London to Brighton.
Yeah, I like that you're quite low down to this. I think that gives it a good dynamic. I like the story, and I like all the sort of smoke coming off the vehicle. I'm finding that the colours are just a little bit unnatural, really turquoisey blues, and it's sort of taking the realism out of it, which is a shame, really. I'm sure that in a sort of magazine about the event that it would go down very well, but I think in tonight's competition I'm struggling a little bit, and I think as well the big reflection in the window isn't sort of working for me because we lose the head of the driver. So in tonight's competition, that one's going to be 15 marks.
15.
Just can't get my head around the colours.
Regent Street from Piccadilly.
Yeah, I love the colours that you've captured in the lighting here, these lovely golds, and then there's the little pops of red. I like the sort of reflections on the wet tarmac there. I like the inclusion of the shoppers on the left and the queuing traffic on the right. But I'm struggling to see what the main focal point is. So I can quite happily sort of wander around the image, but then I'm sort of lost as what the interest is in it. So that one's going to be I'm always thinking that if I think it maybe a bit more than 15, I should be generous and give it 16. So 16 marks for the photography. I just needed a bit more interest.
16. Coinosa Tigrina on Grasshead.
Yeah, I think it's a lovely specimen. It's been well rendered. I like the background again. There's not a lot of variation in it, but just slightly a variation in tone where it's a little bit lighter at the bottom. Just trying to think about we've got another sort of the dung flies later, haven't we? I think this one, I'm going to let it go at this point. And it's just really this out of focus foliage on the right hand side. I think you might have been better to crop it off. So that one's going to be 17 marks and not quite make it into the final. But I think it's well rendered.
17. Banded demoiselle.
Yeah, I think it's a good representation of a damsel. I like the perch that it's on. It's of a suitable sort of size and doesn't dominate too much. Just looking, the background is good. It's diffused, but just with a hint of things, so it looks very natural. Go on, because I'm undecided, I'll have another look at it, but I'm not promising anything.
We'll hold that one.
Okay.
Baker Street.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few versions of this. I think it works well in monochrome, helps simplify everything, helps accentuate the textures of the brickwork, etc. I think your photography is fairly good in it. On the exposure, you're just starting to lose it slightly on the left there, and obviously the light itself, which you'd expect. I just think it needs a little something more, like a figure or something in there to give us a bit more story to it, rather than just it's been presented in a more record sort of way. So against some of the other images that are telling a really strong narrative and story, it's just coming down a little bit. So that one's going to be a 16.
16.
Yeah.
Avocet stretching.
Yeah, it's a really lovely moment that you've captured. You've got the added extra of the movement in its leg and the reflection. And I like the really diffused background and the little hints of the ripples in the water. But unfortunately, the avocet itself isn't quite sharp enough on its head, and you've lost all the exposure on the wings completely. No detail at all, unfortunately, which is a really real shame. And if you took it in raw, I don't know whether you can recover any of that, and whether you can do anything with the sharpness of it slightly on its head. Again, you've got this problem where you're photographing something, you know, that's monochrome and white, black and white. So that one's going to be a 15.
15. Jack's been out.
Yeah, I thought you captured the frost textures really well. I like the diffused background with just a hint in it. The photography is good. The exposure is good. You just slightly little bit bright on the middle of the left there. But against some of these other photographs in the competition, and let's not forget it is a competition, it's lacking the narrative and the excitement that some of the others have. So that one's going to be 15 marks.
15. Beverly doing the slalom.
Good on Beverly. Yeah, you've captured quite a dynamic pose. I like this whole body of water that's coming up. I like all the water in the background, few specular highlights, but they're sort of okay. Again, it's a very bright day. Good diagonal sort of pose. Don't think it's quite strong enough to make it into the final for me, so it's going to be 17 marks.
17. Coming into land.
Yeah, I think it's a magnificent bird. You've caught it in a good pose, but the background just takes over. you haven't managed to be able to separate it out of the background. We've got quite a lot of space on the left that isn't adding to the picture. The picture needs to be about this beautiful owl. So in tonight's competition, that one's going to be a 14.
14. View from the cave.
Yeah, I like your natural framing. It's been well spotted. It's a real sort of picture postcard moment. And if you manage to capture that seagull in there as well, that adds a little bit of extra. You just about managed to hold a little bit of texture in the waves there. You managed to keep a little bit of detail within the cave. Against the other set of images that I'm holding back, it's not going to be up to that standard. So that one's going to be a 16. But it had got a little bit of interest for me.
16. Kingfisher with lunch.
Yeah, I think it's a good pose. It's got a good attitude. It's got this catch of fish. The colours look fairly natural, considering I can see that it was a very bright sunny day from the big shadow that the fish is causing across the kingfisher's chest. I think the perch is appropriate. It's got lots of lovely textures in it. You're just starting to lose the tail at the back there. It's got a good diffused background with little hints of difference in it. A little bit bright on the branch under the fish. I think just really it struggled a little bit with the light. The exposure's sort of been lost on the fish's belly there. Although you've managed to retain it in the collar quite well of the bird. 17 marks.
17. Misty morning.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting shot. I like all this low-hanging cloud. It sort of leads us through the shot. There's nice recession in the background there. And I like the inclusion on the third of this little church. It's quite pleasing, but it doesn't have the drama of some really dramatic lighting that would have pushed it up, and also given it more sort of feeling and depth. So that one is going to be 16 marks.
16.
Yeah.
A night in the Abbey.
Oh, looks quite scary, this character. I like the makeup. I think that's worked really well. It's really freaky with the red and the dark eye. Got some steampunk cogs on their face as well. I like the background. I think that's in keeping, and it just gives us a hint of something to add to the story. Ooh. We haven't got too many held back yet, have we? So we'll have that held back for another look. I think your exposure's good on it.
We'll hold that one.
Yeah.
The Serpent.
Yeah, I think this is, it's so simple, but it has interest to it. I like just the really gentle differences in the colours in the sky and the movements like in the water. Even though you sort of done this long exposure, there's still this feeling of movement. I think that's emphasised with the structure, because it sort of almost looks like it's sort of slithering. So it makes a good story, this one. Lovely and simple. So we'll hold that one back. I'd love to see this on a nice bit of art paper.
Hold that one. Engine shed.
Yeah, I think you've done a good job of creating a story here, and it's got bags of atmosphere with the smoke behind, and even the lamp on the floor helps to add to that. You can see that he's talking to the driver there. So really this one's just about a little bit of extra attention to detail. So your burnt out bit on the engine is a real distraction, and it's stopping us from from going into that cameo of the pair there and this lovely smoke that's giving us the atmosphere. There's a couple of little sort of highlights on the other engine as well. So just a little bit of attention to detail, and that would make it much stronger. So I'm going to give it 16, although the technical really drags it down to 15, but 16 because you've created story and atmosphere. So 16.
16. Corridor curves.
Yeah, I think it's been well rendered in monochrome, and I think monochrome was a good choice for it because it's got bags of texture in this wood, which has helped emphasize, and also the graphic nature of the image is emphasized in monochrome as well. I like the angle that you've shot it at. It gives us a good view of the sort of building or the corridor. So it is quite interesting. It's not going to be quite interesting enough to make it into the final set because I think there are ones that have even more interest that I've already held back. So this one's going to be 17 marks.
17. Summer breeze.
Oh yes, I recognise this lady. I think she's called Jennifer. Jenny? I can't remember. Anyway, yes, she's got a beautiful frock on. I like the movement that you've captured in the frock. I think that works really well by getting her to twirl round. I like the background that you've used, which has got a slight hint of pink in it, like her dress, pinky purple like her dress. And I like that you've sort of put her in the middle and she's sort of surrounded by the arches. So we'll have another look at that one.
Oh, that one. Crosby Beach.
Yeah, see quite a few shots of Crosby Beach and this particular structure. Not usually in this position though, so somebody's tried something a little different, because normally the shot you see is the open shot of between the rails with the post right in the middle there. I think monochrome works well because we get quite a sort of simplistic sort of graphic image from it. I like the little hint of clouds and the movement in it. I like that you've reduced the movement in the water by long exposure to virtually nothing, but you have just got a hint of ripples rather than it being pure milk. I like the sort of reflections that you're getting off the uprights. I think in tonight's competition, I think just the only thing that's holding it back slightly for me is the completely bald sky sort of in the middle section. So that one's going to be 17 marks.
17.
Okay. Make a nice print.
Conversation down the tube.
Yeah. I did like the irony of this, where they're all ignoring each other. Yeah, I think it's worked quite well. This you sort of hone in on the guy that's standing up because he's at a different height. Again, I think the use of monochrome is a good choice, because I can imagine these people were wearing lots of different colours of clothes. You're wondering what that lady on the left's looking up at, aren't you? She's probably looking at where the next station is, isn't she, or something like that? But that sort of breaks it a little bit for me. In tonight's competition, it's not going to get through to the final. It's going to be 17 marks.
17.
Yeah.
Flying tackle.
Yeah. I love the monochrome conversion on this. You've got some real great contrast and tones in it. Again, I like that you've got down nice and low to it. And I like the background that you've got in that gives us nothing to distract. They've also got some fantastic expressions from the guy that's trying to tackle from the left to the guy that's intercepting from the right. I think great expressions. So we'll see this one in the final.
Okay. Hold that one. Going home.
Yeah, I think you've managed to create a lovely bit of atmosphere here. I like the sort of wet look to the cobbles. I like the inclusion of the lamp, and it just helps to light the shadowy figure. Towards the right, I'm sort of losing where the edge of the frame is, and that's when it's sometimes quite a good idea to put a little 1 or 2 pixel key line around it just to keep the shot in. It does have a little bit of atmosphere, but I think it's not quite as strong as some of the images that are in tonight. So that one's going to be a good club average 16.
16. Making dung-flies in the rain.
Oh, got everything going on here. Lovely water droplets, an interesting perch, this sort of leaf, interesting background with a bit of bokeh in there. And I think the colour combination of the dung-flies themselves and the greens, I think there's a great colour combination there because they're virtually sort of opposite. Good detail on the eye. Beautifully sharp, so we'll have another look at that one. I think that one's
We'll
rather
hold the
nice.
dung-flies.
Yeah.
Coastal Church.
Well, I thought this one was a little bit different. It almost gives me that feeling of sort of the Toy Town sort of feel. I don't know why. We've got the lovely long exposure on the water. I think that works well. I like the inclusion of the rocks, and I like the church just peeping through. I'm not sure about your composition. With it being so central, I don't know whether that is the strongest place for it. Thinking the set tonight, I think your colours are lovely in it as well. Thinking the set tonight, I'd have been tempted to take a bit off the left, but maybe you like that rock. In your set tonight, 17 marks, just not going to make it into the final.
17. Standard motion.
Yeah, I think again it's a good use of monochrome because it works well on these metals. There's good detail in here. There's a good level of sharpness throughout. A fairly good range of tones through it. Your brightest part is probably this left bit, which you might want to have darkened down a little bit so that we homed in this central area. But when it comes to the storytelling and the atmosphere and the emotion, it's more of a record. And so it's slightly struggling against the other images. So that one's going to be a 15.
15. Coming up for air.
Yeah, I think you've captured a good moment here. Again, you're nice and low down to the subject matter. I like all the splashes. I love all the foaming water as well. I like the determination in his face. Go on, we'll hold it back for now.
All the swimmer.
Yeah, gonna have too many held back now.
That's all right. Curl you at daybreak.
Yeah, lovely lighting on this. Nice attitude from the curlew. I like the inclusion of all this seaweed and the rock, and I like the sort of colour palette that's wandering into the background that has a bit of texture about it. So we'll have another look at the curlew.
All the curlew. Jack Rowbottom right cross.
Oh, we're on a bit of a roll now. Another good use of monochrome, helps simplify the image, helps emphasize those muscles and the veins. and all the textures that are going on, and also simplify that crowd behind, which is working really well. Captured the moment really well. Good expressions on the faces as well, real determination and from the right hand boxer, and real pain from the guy on the left that didn't manage to protect his face. Really good strong sort of composition to it as well. So we'll have another look at that one.
All the boxes. Why?
Good question. So I am wondering about this, why he's looking up. We don't know why he's looking up. Why he's got his hand like that. I don't know. I don't know either. Monochrome, it makes it quite simplistic. I think sometimes it's attention to detail. You've called it why, and I'm really not sure why. I'm not sure what you're trying to tell me about the character of this guy. And then it's down to attention to detail, because right on the edge of the frame you've just clipped into his finger, and so that's annoyed me. It's almost as if he's pushing the frame out there. So this one hasn't worked for me. The photography is mainly okay. We're starting to lose him into the background a little bit. The face is rendered okay, a little bit softer on the skin maybe than you'd think a man of his age would be. So it's just not working for me, this one. So that'll be a 14, I'm sorry.
14.
Yeah.
Dual.
Meanie that I am. Yeah, I think you've captured some good action here. I like the composition with the guy coming in behind. You've gone almost monochromatic in the background to really reduce it down, and that sort of works. It helps show off the ice hockey players. I like that you've got the puck in the shot as well, and it's got this good diagonal. Go on, I've talked myself into having another look at it.
Well, all the hockey players.
Yeah.
Blues Train.
Yeah, I think this one's a little bit different. I like the character. I like his expression. I like that he's got this banjo. I like the position that you've got in with his foot up. I think that makes a good story. And I like this sort of this wooden train type thing behind him. I think that works well as his background. So I think as a monochrome image, it's quite successful. I would have liked just a little bit more contrast in it, but we'll still have another look at that one.
Ooh, whole banjo player. Yeah.
We're on a roll.
Atlantis.
Yeah, very pretty model. Love the dress. I like that you've got her to hold it out. I like these rays that are coming down, and the fish. I'd like to see more of a dress sort of looking as if it was in the water, because it appears like down here that the fish are there. Unless you're meaning she's standing on these, but I like the background as well, the curve and the buildings. They all tell the story. So go on. I'll talk myself into having another look.
We'll hold that one as well.
Yeah. For our 19s and 20s.
Testing conditions.
Yeah, I like the way that you've got the boat coming straight at you. I think that works very well. I like all this spray that's coming up. I'm just finding that this big white expanse at the bottom is just drawing my eye, when really you're wanting me to focus on the lifeboat. So I'm wondering if you took, sort of a fifth of a crop off the bottom, whether it would be a little bit more more in keeping, would make the boat a bit bigger and would get rid of that distraction for you. 16 marks.
16. Right, we're about 2/3 of the way through. Are you all right to have a little break?
Yeah.
Anything goes with beer,
Okay.
especially more beer. Okay, let's find the right button to press. There we go. Right, are we all ready?
Yep.
Oh, this is
Okay.
man approaching from the galleries. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's another good use of monochrome. There's some lovely textures in the concrete and it simplifies it down. This time somebody has put a little key line around it and I think that helps a little bit. I'm just not sure about the positioning of our man. I think it brings us a couple of problems. One is that he's got a line running right down his head, which just once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think he would look just slightly better if he was just a step back and maybe had a bit of light in his face. But I'm asking for an awful lot there, aren't I? So I shall move on and I shall give your man a man in the gallery. I was thinking 16 and a half, so we'll go 17 because we haven't got any half marks.
17. Orange tip on lady's smock.
Yeah, I think there's a lovely simple colour combination going on here. Little hint of variation in the background. Quite a subtly sized perch for it to perch on. Nothing too distracting with that. So we'll have another look at that one. I think you've rendered the hairs on it really well. And the antenna.
Right, we'll hold the orange tip. Heron coming into land.
Yeah, it's a good moment you've captured with its wings outspread like that, like it's got its feet sort of, looking for a perch. I think your background looks really good and natural, but I think you just needed an extra bit of level of sharpness to the heron's head and a little bit more contrast in the bird itself. Again, it's been shot in bright conditions. You can see from the lighting on the bird just starting to lose it on its back leg there. So that one's going to be 16 marks.
16. All the better to see you with.
Yeah, they do look remarkably like eyes, don't they, on the headlamps. Monochrome conversion helps simplify away that background. A little bit tight in the frame for my liking. I'd have liked to have seen all the wheels and all the sort of more of the structure. Good that you got down low to it. Ties up his crankshaft. Look, that's quite interesting, isn't it? With a bit of string. Yeah, I think you've rendered the photograph well. Your photography is okay. You managed to expose it generally, not too badly. But I think against the set of images, it just hasn't got the interest for me that some of the others have. And I say I would have liked it not to have been cropped off at the wheels. So that one's going to be 15 marks.
15. Understanding.
Yeah, I like the engagement between the two. I like that they're holding hands like they are. The background is a little bit distracting with this pavement and sort of soil area. And I'm finding the coloration of their skin tones doesn't look quite natural. It's especially red, sort of a sort of reddy orange colour on his skin tones. I'm not sure what the story is you're trying to tell us. I'm finding it a little bit sort of voyeuristic, and it's not quite worked for me. So that one's going to be 15.
15. Liverpool, night and day.
Well, I thought this one was a little bit different. I think you've done quite a lot of work here to line all the buildings up so perfectly. I think it's just a little bit different. There is a lot to look at because it's this long, thin strip of the whole of the waterfront of Liverpool. But yeah, it's different. So on that note, we'll have another look at it.
We'll hold Liverpool. Flight from the Rings.
See, we're on one of them runs again, aren't we? Because this one, I like this one. I'm not a great, you wouldn't believe it from what I've said tonight, but I'm not a great one for liking sports photography. But I like what's good as well. So there's been some really good examples tonight of sports photography, and this one is as well. You've caught the action at the optimum moment. I like the inclusion of the rings. I love the expression on his face. I love the position of the sort of feet first. I love that what you've captured in his energy and his exertion down to his neck muscles, the intensity in his neck muscles and the ripples under his on his neck there as well. And you've got a little bit of a diffused background that doesn't take away from anything, and most of all, it's all this chalk dust flying around. So we'll have another look at that one.
Yeah, we'll find it. Hold that one. Viewing the exhibition.
Well, I was sort of intrigued by this one. You shouldn't like it at all, should you? I mean, it's split right down the middle. There's some highlights in it that are a little bit bright on this right-hand side, but I sort of find it intriguing. There's a great placement of the characters. You know, there's no overlapping, and they're very evenly sort of spaced, and they're almost sort of mirrored. I particularly like the guy on his left who appears to be picking his nose. You can sort of spend ages, and then you sort of get drawn in looking at the pictures as well that they're looking at. So it isn't the greatest photography because of the exposure, but it has something about it. It's almost like in a sort of Martin Parr sort of way, looking into the lives of people. So on that note, it's going to get 17. It's not going to get held back, but I did enjoy it. So thank you for that.
17.
Because it was a bit different.
Canal at Lyme.
That'd be Lim, would it?
All right. We'll have it in Lyme instead. I didn't like Lyme anyway.
I've never been, but there we go. Yeah, real chocolate box sort of picture, this one, isn't it? Good reflection, just with a little hint of ripples. Good, what you'd think as natural colours of the subject matter. I think you've managed to hold your whites in well on this building. Slightly losing them in the sky there. Again, against some of the other images that have got excitement, emotion, atmosphere, it's not going to do as well. So this one's just going to be a 16 marks.
16.
Yeah.
Crusader.
See, this one has got emotion from, oh, it's him again, his eye.
The handsome young man. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. Emotion from the eyes, and it's built a story and atmosphere with the background. I like the lighting on Mike's face. I think that's worked really well. Like the skin tones. I don't remember you having that scar, so that's been well put in. So we'll have another look at that one. Oh, and a scar on your arm as well, look.
Yep.
You'll have to get them seen to. You need to go to the doctors.
Yeah, well, that takes forever, so. No, we'll hold the Crusader.
Okay.
Salisbury Cathedral nave.
Yeah, I think as a record shot, it's been done fairly well. You've got fairly straight uprights. It is just leaning back slightly. Good colours in it, good natural colours. You managed to hold the windows. The lighting has been done fairly well. So I think overall, as a record shot of the cathedral, it's done quite well. It's fairly sharp all the way through, and it's going to be, I'm thinking that's 16, so we'll go 17.
17.
Yep.
7-spot ladybird.
Have we got to count them? I can only see 4. Sorry, couldn't resist. Yeah,
The
it's
rest are on the other side.
they must be, mustn't they? Another 3 on the other side. It's a fairly good size in the frame for the sort of subject matter. Well diffused background. Just finding it a little bit bright on the wheat sort of stem there where the ladybird is, and you've just picked up a few highlights on the ladybird. I don't know whether you've used a bit of flash on it there. I think in tonight's competition it's going to be 16.
16.
For the spotty ladybird.
4 candles.
Not 4 candles.
Yeah, 4 candles.
Yeah, I like the lighting on this. I like that you've put this glow onto the skull. I like all the melted wax on the candles, and I like this smoke that you've put in a real sort of scrolly twirl. We're just starting to lose the skull on the right hand side a little bit. It's just the only thing that's making me wonder about it. I'll wonder some more and we'll have another look.
Okay.
We haven't got enough already.
No, not enough, Held. We'll hold that one as well. Fontainebleau corridors.
Oh,
Something vaguely French.
oh yes. Yeah, it's an interesting part of the building. I like all the roof structure that you've captured. I think you just needed a little check on your exposure from the light coming in. And then I'm not sure that putting it to one side works. I think I prefer them when they're sort of centralized and more symmetrical. So I think technically this has been let down a bit. Really, you needed, I think, to get the exposure, you needed multiple shots, didn't you, really? And then, combine them. Tonight's competition, 15 marks. Not quite working for me.
15. The cigarette break.
Well, he looks quite an interesting chappy, doesn't he? I think it works well in monochrome because it shows these lovely textures in the background. Not sure about his headphones and not sure what he's looking at. So I'm a little bit confused by the picture. It doesn't take much to confuse a judge, does it, Mike?
Oh, no, nothing
No.
whatsoever.
No. So it's not quite worked for me. 15 marks tonight.
15.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're invited to go through the doorway and look at the lovely house behind. Very magnificent gateposts and ironwork there. I like the sort of natural looking colours. I like the bit of texture you've got in the sky. Feeling like I'm wanting something else to give us more story. Love this little shaping that's shaped into the brickworks there. Very fancy. Tonight's competition, though, not as exciting as some of the others, so 15 marks.
15.
Yep.
3 bobbins.
Well, it's a bit different. I like how you have managed to render the textures in the bobbins. I like that you presented it as a triptych. I'm like thinking I'm being really strange now, because I'm like thinking they're the wrong way round. It should be red, amber, green. Don't know why, but there we go. But I won't let that dictate anything to me. Go on, we'll have another look. It's different.
Okay. We'll hold the bobbins.
Yeah, hold your bobbins.
Lily pond.
Yep, it is what it says on the tin. Looks good, natural colours, sort of realistic looking. Nice arrangement of the lily pads, and they look quite in quite good condition. No, you're obviously seeing them in different stages, but that's sort of where I get to this with this picture. It's a sort of nice, pleasant image, and so it's hard for it to stand up to some of the other subject matter that's been presented to me this evening. So that one's going to be 15 marks.
15. Heavenly encounter.
See, now that is quite exciting, isn't it? Very vibrant. I like the way that the church is lit up as well, and we get to see the gravestones. But the aurora is quite spectacular, and then you've got stars there as well. Go on, it's really in your face, but we'll have another look at it.
We'll hold the aurora.
Yeah.
Dust and determination.
Yeah, there's a lot of dust going on here, isn't there? I like the way you caught him in the sort of part of the twist. I like that we've got the bar for reference. I like the strong diagonal. So we'll hold this one back and we'll have a gymnast off with the rings later.
We'll hold the gymnast.
Yeah.
All wrapped up.
Oh, you know, my idea of a nightmare, this. I'm not a fan of spiders, but there's no doubting that it's an interesting shot. You've captured some of the behavior of the spider, where it's got this other insect wrapped up in its web, keeping it for later in its larder. So I think that's worked quite well. Was sort of not the best aspect of the spider, but I do like that you've shown all the web and all the bits round. I think the sharpest part is the wrapped insect starting to go off in the abdomen of the spider. So I think it's interesting. I'm thinking like 16.5, so we go 17.
17.
Yeah.
Face in the crowd.
Yeah, this is another one that it's hard to explain, a bit like viewing the exhibition, where there's something about it. There's some bits that I don't like at all about it, but the black girl in the middle is quite haunting, and the little boy below her also is an interest. I think really there's too much of this lady on the right. You were just unlucky that she was quite highly sort of in the frame, really, and it's difficult to sort of crop her out. But it's got something about it. I shouldn't like it at all, and I do. There's a big highlight on the black girl's nose, which isn't sort of helping. But that sort of cameo there in the middle is quite sort of haunting. So against my better judgment, we'll have another look.
Okay, we'll hold that one. Minted pea salad.
This one made me laugh because it reminded me of the nouvelle cuisine of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
when you really did get that, didn't you? That's what you
did,
got
yeah.
in a top top Michelin starred restaurant. I think this works really well. I like your choice of the china that you've used. It's this sort of Denby type looking china, and I like the coloration of it, and I love the design that you've made on the plate and the fact that you've included a knife and fork for that feast of a pea. And I like the simple white tablecloth sort of background that you've used. So again, I'd love to see this as a print. This would be superb on a bit of textured paper. But we'll have another look because it's simple and it's different.
Okay.
Little bit of imagination used.
We'll hold a huge dinner.
Yeah.
St. Thomas's Church.
Yeah, there's a nice bit of light on the church, and I love this wiggly track up to the church as well. I like the textures that you've caught in the foreground of the church, and the bit of texture from the woodland behind. Nice little bit of colour in the sky. It's not going to get into the final pick, but I'll give it 17. It's been well positioned in the frame.
17.
Yeah.
And the last one tonight, Castle Stalker.
Oh, yes, I've been here before. There's a really nice hotel quite near it with lots of nice seafood. So that's a good reason to go alone. It's got an interesting story, this building as well, hasn't it? That was it one of the Campbells that it belonged to, but he lost it in a game of cards. So there we go. Anyway, back to the picture. I digress. Back to the picture. I like your cloud background. I think that works well. We've got all sorts of weather going on in this typical of Scotland, of course, in this sky. We've got this beautiful calm weather at the bottom near the castle on the right, and then we've got this really dark foreboding clouds coming over from the top right. Good bit of reflection. There's a little bit of movement in the water because it was obviously fairly breezy. Is the answer to put it nearly in the middle? I'm not sure. Looks like it's slightly leaning back, so maybe we could have corrected that a little bit. I think in tonight's competition that one's going to be a 16.
Oh, sorry, wrong room.
16.
You got a gate crasher.
Oh, yes, but we won't mention him. Right, you have 27 held back.
Oh dear, I've done a really bad job. It's really good pictures.
Right, let's stick them on the board and see whether we can shrink them down so we can see.
Oh yeah, I can shrink them down. We can get rid of a load in one foul swoop.
Right.
Is that all in them?
There we go.
There we go. Right, so first to go is going to be green, yellow, red bobbins.
Bobbins.
Yeah, 18 marks.
18.
Yeah, I thought it was just interesting and lovely, vibrant colours and an interesting idea just for something a little bit different as a triptych.
Let's bring these down again.
Right, next to go will be our 4 candles.
4 candles.
4 candles.
See,
Just
4
because
candles.
you were starting to lose it a little bit on the left, and you may have got away with it if you just put a key line round it. So, but I think you rendered it really well in that low light, and I like the orange glow that you've got to everything. It's got a little bit of atmosphere, and I love your swirly little smoke signal from the 4th candle.
Right, so an 18?
Yep, that's an 18.
18.
Also 18 will be a swimmer. coming up for air. I liked all your splashes, and I liked that it's just a really simple colour palette with the skin tones. Just, I know you've got no control over it, but just those reflective glasses, I'd have love to have seen his eyes through it. So that one's 18.
18.
That you've got so low to it. Also 18 is going to be the face in the crowd. Just had something about it. Just it's sort of a bit timeless, that as well.
18.
And good monochrome conversion. Just it's too much with this girl on the right. Tell her to move.
Yeah, that's right.
I know you can't. Right. Also 18 is going to be a psychedelic church, the Heavenly Encounter. Just a wee bit bright on the tower itself, but other than that, and it's leaning back a bit. I'd have liked it a little bit straighter.
Okay.
So the aurora is absolutely fabulous, and I love the blue sky that you've got as well.
Right, 18 for that one.
Yep.
Oops, got too many on there.
Didn't it?
Try again. There we go.
Right, so also 18 is going to be the Blues Train. A man on the banjo.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a good monochrome conversion. Lots of lovely textures. Great attitude from your model. And I like the background. I just think there's some slightly stronger images. I love that his shoes aren't laced up, you know. They're just sort of hanging there. Very makes it more authentic looking.
Right, 18.
Great character. How many have we got now? 2, 4, 6, 7, 21 still. Loads. Loads.
Loads of them. Loads of them.
Loads of them. The orange tip. That's going to be next to go. I think it's a great specimen, and I like the perch, and I like the simplicity of the colours. Great antennae, great hairs on the back of it, slightly mushing on the wing there, and just I'm finding just the little dominance of the flower, just I suppose the brightness of it. Really having to nitpick now not to get it into your 19 or 20, so feel hard done by. 18.
18.
Atlantis coming out next. I was a little bit confused about the base, about whether it was supposed to be underwater or whether she's supposed to be standing on the top of something. So that just slightly confused me. 18.
18.
Look Up will be next. Great triangular sort of shape to it, which makes a good composition. Like the sort of streaks in the sky, but I just felt like it needed just something else, and I don't really know what that something else is. Maybe I wanted it to be a little bit more symmetrical, because we've got it sort of starting up here, there, and starting down the bottom there. Maybe that was it. So 18, well done. I still like your monochrome conversion.
18.
Yep. So we can have one or two more now. The Jewel, the ice hockey. There's some sport shots I like I prefer in the set, but I think you've captured a good moment here with some action. I like that you've got the puck in it, and I like that you simplified the background just to feel there's one or two other sports shots that are stronger. So 18.
18.
Liverpool night and day. Different idea, well worked. Love the inclusion of the moon. We really get that night day feeling. But I think there's some slightly stronger ones. This obviously has a lot to look at, whereas the others have more impact. So 18.
18.
We're having an animal insect off now, and the family portrait is going to go at this point. Yeah, I think it's an engaging portrait. I like the coloration and I like the background. I'm going to knock you a mark off now because you cut his tail off. Boo, sorry. 18. Literally nitpicking now.
Yep. 18.
We're getting there. The banded damosel's going now. Really nitpicking, just a little bit bright on this stem, just a little bit slightly on the quality of the damosel. So 18. Love the background as well, and the colours are lovely together as well.
18.
Really have to be picky to pull it out now. We're almost there, I think, now for the next round. Yeah, I think I'm happy with what's left for the next scoring. So on to the 19s then. I said we were going to have a gymnast off, so we're going to lose dust and determination. I think I prefer the ring shot. Has great movement in this one, but I just prefer the expression and the intensity and the neck muscles and stuff on the other one. So that one's 19.
19.
Yep. What else is going to go at 19? So Night at the Abbey is going to go at 19.
There you go.
I think it's a great character, great makeup. I like the colour tones. I like the splash of colour in the shirt. And I love those eyes. They're fantastic. So yeah, good story and a good creepy feel to it. So we're 19, well done.
19.
I think my niggle is the shirt's just a little bit bright. Just want it toned down just slightly. Oh, it's getting really hard now. Can't really give all these 20, can I? Let's go to the fig bowl. We're having a still life off now. Love the colours in this. Love its sort of painty, sort of has the vibes of the art gallery type still life, doesn't it? I think just it needs a little bit of burning down on the wood just slightly, just to bring it in a little bit. But yeah, great still life. 19.
19.
Curlew now. Lovely light. Just slightly losing the quality on the head, just real nitpicking now. And there's some strange sort of textures going on in the background where it's breaking up slightly, but beautiful light. So 19.
19.
Right, let's have a little count up of what I would give a 22. So yes. Oh dear, that's getting difficult, isn't it? What next is the question? Summer breeze out next. Yeah, I think it's a good fun picture and I like the movement. I just think there's some in the set that are left in that I prefer more. So 19 marks.
19.
Got a very pretty feel about it. Still got 9. Oh, that's a difficulty, isn't it? 4, 6, 8. Yes. Maybe. Samantha's violin. Like the lighting on the face, like the little figure in the background. I think there's a couple of portraits that I like more. So it's going to go at this point 19.
19.
Okay, I'm getting to personal preference now because I've got nothing else to split it with. 2, 4, 6, 8. Ooh. Go on, I'm going to do the unheard of. So we'll have minted pea salad. Yeah, I think this is really different, bit unusual, nicely presented, nicely photographed. There's an odd crease in this paper here, but there's also a bit of sort of embossed sort of pattern on it as well, which is a little bit unusual. 20 points. We'll give that 20 marks.
20.
Yeah. I still haven't decided which the winner is yet.
Yeah.
So I'll keep going until I get to it.
Okay.
So next to come out is Crusader. Come on, Mike, out you come. I think it's a gorgeous portrait. Great expression. Got a good model there. I like the added cuts. I think they've been done well. It's not that I know that you've done them from your photography or your editing skills. It's that I know that Mike hasn't got those cuts. So yeah, I think the skin tones are really good. I love all the enhancement to his wrinkles, and I love the pose with the sword and a hint of the castle background. So a well-deserved 20.
20.
The cups next week.
They're going to give some real ones, did they say?
Yeah, I think they were sort of hinting that very strongly.
Oh. We'll have we will have Flight from the Rings next. Yeah, I think this is a superb capture. I like even that his shorts match the colour of the cords holding the rings. Good bit of background in it, and I love his expression and the fact his hair's up in the air. On another night, this could have been the outright winner, but tonight it's going to get a well-deserved 20 marks, and it's not going to be my choice tonight. Give me too much choice, but it's a superb image.
20.
Next one's the serpent. Again, this could have been a winner this evening. Possibly if it had been a print, it might have been. But I just love the simplicity and its presentation, and just the gentle, really subtle, gentle colours that are going through it. So a very well-deserved 20.
20.
Portrait of a Girl in Red. Super portrait. I love the matching earring. I love her headscarf, and I love her attitude and her gaze. It's very timeless. It's very emotive. Just the use of her eyes. It has the Mona Lisa type quality about it, doesn't it? So well deserved 20. Oh, that's too many 20s, isn't it? But they were also good.
Another 20.
Yeah. Can you run through these three for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that one.
Yep.
There's that one. And there's that one.
Oh,
Want to go again?
no. They're good. Right, so we will have the dung flies out. Superb macro. Nothing that could be done better on it. I love the inclusion of the water drops as well, and a bit of sort of bokeh in it. Suppose I was going to say I'm going to go more with action, but there is a bit of action going on here, isn't there? But a well-deserved 20.
20.
Yep. Now then, either of these could win, really. I think I'm going to go with Flying Tackle is going to get the 20, and Jack Rowbottom is going to get the 20 and the best image of the night.
Right, so
But
Flying
they're
Tackle.
so close. I just love the expressions on both shots.
One gets a 20.
Yeah, really lovely and low.
And that one.
I
Gets
just
the
like the
20.
expression and the way that you've managed to render the muscles in the monochrome.
And that's the winner.
Really clean shot. Not my thing at all, sport either.
No. Often happens that. Right, well, we'll see whose this one belongs to. This one is Eddie's from Oldham.
Oh, was it? He's getting a bit good at that sports photography, isn't he?
Just a lot. Right, shall we see some scores?
Yes. Let's see the scores on the doors.
Right, here we go. Hit the button and see what comes up. Oh, right. Let's go back down.
Ooh.
All round by round. There we go. Right, in third place with, I can't read that, 389 is Rochdale District. In second place with 420 is the Isle of Man. And just in front with 464, we have Oldham PS.
Well done, Oldham. But there was still some nice 20s, wasn't there, from the Isle of Man as well? I noticed.
Yes. Do we want to see who the 20s were?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Let me Come out of there, back in here, over there. It's over here now. Get me mouse in the right place. 20. Oh, we'll go through images scoring 20. So we have Portrait of a Girl in Red by Eddie from Oldham. We have The Serpent from Lara Howe from the Isle of Man.
Mm.
Flying Tackle is from Andrea from Oldham.
Oh, it was close, Andrea.
Mating Dungflies in the Rain is also Andrea from Oldham.
Yeah.
Jack Rowbottom, as we've already seen, is Eddie's from Oldham. Flight from the Rings is Eddie's from Oldham.
Oh, he gets around, doesn't he? Yeah.
Crusader is Christine's from Oldham.
Ah, there we go.
Minted Pea Salad
Mm.
is by Ruth Nichols from the Isle of Man.
Oh, Dr. Ruth.
That's it. That's all the 20s. Oh, well done.
Mm. Oh, you did well. If you got a 19 or an 18 tonight, they were also fantastic. So well done, everyone.
Well done, everybody, indeed. And thank you, everybody whose images we've seen tonight. The standard has been fantastic. Thank you to both Rochdale and Isle of Man for joining us in this battle, and congratulations. And I'm going to call upon Christine to give Jane a vote of thanks.
Well, Jane, what can I say? Thank you very, very much. First of all, for taking this on. This is one of our favourite competitions throughout the year. It's lovely to be able to welcome the Isle of Man each year to join us along with Rochdale to take part. I think your comments have been fantastic tonight. I think we've had a wonderful evening. It's lovely here to see everybody actually being quiet and listening for once. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at them. We've got a room full here and you couldn't hear a pin drop. It's been absolutely wonderful. You've given us a real masterclass in judging, and somebody's just dropped a clanger, but we'll wind it up by asking everyone here and those on Zoom, please, to give Jane a very big warm thank you for doing a fantastic job tonight.
Thank you for having me. And,
Been
see
an
you
absolute
soon.
pleasure.